The Hobbit, from a hobbit's cozy hole to the epic adventure of the Lonely Mountain. Chapter 1. A cornerstone of fantasy literature, The Hobbit's journey begins. In the vast galaxy of fantasy literature, one star shines brighter than most. J.R.R. Tolkien's The Hobbit. First published in 1937, this book quickly became a foundational work of the fantasy genre. It paved the way for the later Lord of the Rings trilogy and inspired countless writers and filmmakers. From the magical world of Harry Potter to the epic battles of Game of Thrones, Tolkien's influence is everywhere. With its delicate prose, vivid imagination, and deep insights into human nature, this book has captivated hundreds of millions of readers worldwide. Translated into over 60 languages, it even inspired Peter Jackson's film adaptations, which grossed over $1 billion at the box office. The Hobbit tells the story of an ordinary hobbit named Bilbo Baggins, who gets swept into a thrilling adventure and emerges as a hero. Tolkien's humorous and heartfelt language brings to life a fantastical yet grounded world called Middle-earth. Through the adventures of dwarves, elves, dragons, and a mysterious ring, readers feel the power of courage, friendship, and self-discovery. This story isn't just a fantasy journey, it's a mirror reflecting the depths of humanity, inviting us to savor every moment. Chapter 2. The Roots of Tolkien's Creation, from Linguistics to the Trauma of World War I. To truly understand the magic of The Hobbit, we first need to step into Tolkien's inner world. Born in 1892 in South Africa, Tolkien moved to England with his family at the age of 3. His childhood was far from peaceful. His father passed away early, and his mother died of diabetes when he was just 12, leaving him and his brother orphaned. These experiences shaped Tolkien's deep longing for family and belonging. That longing is vividly reflected in Bilbo's attachment to his cozy home in the Shire. Tolkien's mother, a devout Catholic, often took him and his brother on walks through the English countryside. The lush green fields, babbling brooks, and ancient mills left a lasting imprint on his memory. The Shire's idyllic landscape is Tolkien's tribute to that lost rural life. He once said, "The Shire is my elegy for a vanished England, a place free from the roar of machines, where nature lives in harmony." Tolkien's true genius lay in his passion for languages. From a young age, he was fascinated by words, mastering Latin and Greek and even inventing his own languages. He studied classical literature and linguistics at Oxford University, later becoming a professor specializing in Anglo-Saxon and Middle English. Tolkien famously declared, "I created languages first, then built a world for them to live in." The languages of Middle-earth like Elvish, Dwarvish, and even the tongue of dragons are his meticulous creations. This linguistic foundation gives The Hobbit a sense of authenticity and cultural depth. For example, the Elvish languages Sindarin and Quenya come with full grammar and vocabulary, carrying the history and emotions of the elves. Tolkien's love for language also extended to his study of myths and folklore. He drew inspiration from Norse mythology, like the Edda, and the Finnish epic Kalevala. These ancient tales of heroes, dragons, and treasures directly shaped the plot and imagery of The Hobbit. For instance, the dragon Smaug echoes the greedy Fafnir from Norse myth. And Bilbo's act of stealing treasure mirrors the trials of ancient heroes facing dragons. Equally significant is the impact of Tolkien's experience in World War I. Drafted in 1916, he fought in the Battle of the Somme, a conflict that claimed hundreds of thousands of lives. Many of Tolkien's comrades never returned. The fear of the battlefield and his longing for home left a deep mark on his writing. In The Hobbit, Bilbo's yearning for the Shire and the dwarves' obsession with the Lonely Mountain reflect Tolkien's empathy for soldiers who lost their homes. In a letter, Tolkien wrote, "I began imagining Middle-earth in the trenches. It was my refuge from reality. This story isn't just a fantasy adventure, it's a profound reflection on humanity, war, and hope. Chapter 3: Bilbo's Hero's Journey, From the Shire to the Lonely Mountain. At its heart, The Hobbit is a classic hero's journey. Tolkien uses Bilbo Baggins' adventure to show how an ordinary person can grow into a hero amidst crisis. Joseph Campbell's monomyth model divides the hero's journey into 3 stages: departure, initiation, and return, and Bilbo's path fits this framework perfectly. Stage 1: Departure from the comfort zone to the unknown. Bilbo Baggins is a quintessential hobbit. He lives in Bag End in the Shire, leading a quiet life filled with good food, pipeweed, and cozy comforts. He never seeks adventure. In fact, even a late dinner makes him anxious. But fate has other plans. One day, the wizard Gandalf and 13 dwarves barge into his home. Their leader, Thorin Oakenshield, invites Bilbo to join their quest to reclaim the treasure of the Lonely Mountain from the dragon Smaug. Bilbo refuses at first, terrified of the unknown dangers. But Gandalf sees the potential within him and pushes him into the adventure. At this stage, Bilbo represents the comfort zone we all cling to. His reluctance to leave mirrors our own fear of the unknown. Yet Gandalf's arrival symbolizes an external force, nudging Bilbo across the threshold into a world of danger and wonder. Tolkien paints Bilbo's panic with a humorous touch. For example, Bilbo forgets his handkerchief and has to wipe his nose on his sleeve, a small detail that makes this little character so relatable. Gandalf's role as a mentor is worth noting too. He's not just Bilbo's guide but the mastermind of the entire expedition. Gandalf's wisdom and foresight allow him to save the day at critical moments. Take the scene in the Misty Mountains, where he fends off goblins, buying the group time to escape. Gandalf's presence not only drives Bilbo's growth but also adds a layer of mystery to the story. Stage 2: Initiation, awakening through crisis. Bilbo's journey is packed with challenges, each one awakening his courage and wisdom. His first major test comes in the Misty Mountains. The group is captured by goblins, and Bilbo gets lost while escaping, stumbling upon a mysterious ring. This ring is none other than the One Ring from the Lord of the Rings, capable of making its wearer invisible but carrying a dark power. In the darkness, Bilbo encounters Gollum, a creature corrupted by the ring. Gollum challenges him to a riddle game, with Bilbo's life as the stakes. Using his wits, Bilbo solves the riddle, "What have I got in my pocket?" and escapes. This moment isn't just a plot climax, it's a turning point in Bilbo's growth. For the first time, he relies on his own intelligence, not luck or others' help, to overcome danger. The psychological depth of this confrontation is striking. Bilbo is both terrified and composed in the dark. When his fingers brush the ring by chance, a strange sense of calm washes over him. This subtle shift hints at the ring's influence on the human psyche. Gollum, meanwhile, is chilling. His raspy voice and obsession with the ring reveal the cost of possessing it for too long. Through Bilbo and Gollum's contrast, Tolkien unveils the ring's dual nature. It's both a tool for survival and a source of corruption. Bilbo's choice in this moment shapes his future and sets the stage for the ring's destruction in The Lord of the Rings. Later, in Mirkwood, Bilbo's courage shines again. The group is trapped by giant spiders, but Bilbo uses the ring to turn invisible, fighting off the spiders with his small sword and stones to rescue the dwarves. He even names his sword Sting, marking his shift from a passive bystander to an active warrior. Tolkien masterfully captures Bilbo's inner transformation here. Bilbo starts to realize he's stronger than he ever imagined. It's also worth noting Thorin's growth during this phase. Initially skeptical of Bilbo, Thorin begins to respect the little hobbit after the Mirkwood crisis. Though Thorin's change is gradual, it lays the groundwork for their eventual reconciliation. At Lake Town and the Lonely Mountain, Bilbo's wisdom and bravery shine even brighter. He sneaks into Smaug's lair and discovers a weak spot in the dragon's armor, providing crucial information for the battle ahead. He also tries to broker peace between the dwarves, elves, and humans by stealing the Arkenstone, a prized gem. Though his plan fails, this act reveals his kindness and sense of responsibility. Lake Town's archer, Bard, also rises to the occasion here. An ordinary man, Bard steps up during Smaug's attack, killing the dragon with a black arrow. Bard's bravery and cool-headedness complement Bilbo's cleverness, showing the strength ordinary people can muster in a crisis. Through these interactions, Tolkien highlights the importance of teamwork. Stage 3: Return, coming home with wisdom and scars. The adventure culminates in the Battle of the Five Armies. Dwarves, elves, and humans unite to fight against goblins and wargs. This is the grandest scene in The Hobbit. Tolkien's vivid descriptions bring the battle's brutality to life. Goblins and wargs swarm like a tidal wave. Dwarves swing their axes with fierce determination. Elves rain arrows like a storm. And human soldiers hold the line with their spears. Bilbo feels small and helpless in the chaos. He's even knocked out by a falling rock, missing the battle's climax. This portrayal not only captures the disorder of war but also underscores Bilbo's limits as an ordinary person. The Battle of the Five Armies isn't just a clash of forces, it's an emotional reckoning. Thorin is gravely wounded in the fight. On his deathbed, he asks for Bilbo's forgiveness. He says, "If more of us valued food and cheer and song above hoarded gold, it would be a merrier world." Thorin's final words are a confession of his greed and a tribute to friendship. Bilbo weeps, grieving not just the loss of a friend but the cost of war. This battle makes Bilbo value peace even more and reshapes his understanding of wealth. In the end, Bilbo refuses most of the treasure offered by the dwarves. He takes only a small chest of gold and silver and the ring back to the Shire. But the Bilbo who returns is no longer the same. He's braver, wiser, but also carries the scars of his journey. His neighbors think he's gone mad, even auctioning off his home because they can't comprehend his transformation. Tolkien reveals a profound truth here. The hero's journey doesn't just change the hero, it creates a rift between them and the world they once knew. Bilbo chooses a quiet life in the end, yet a longing for distant lands lingers in his heart. That longing sets the stage for the events of The Lord of the Rings. Chapter 4: Symbols and Themes, the Ring, the Mountain, and the Dragon's Hidden Meanings. The Hobbit isn't just an adventure tale, it uses rich symbols and themes to explore the complexities of human nature. Let's dive into a few key symbols and what they represent. The Ring, the temptation and corruption of power. The ring is one of the most significant symbols in The Hobbit. Though its dark nature isn't fully revealed in this book, its presence looms large. When Bilbo finds the ring in the Misty Mountains, he first experiences its power. Its ability to make him invisible helps him escape danger. But the ring also brings unease. Gollum's fall shows how the ring corrupts the heart. Bilbo, though mostly unaffected, shows hints of possessiveness when using it, foreshadowing its danger. Tolkien uses the ring to explore the allure and corruption of power. The ring symbolizes absolute power, it can fulfill desires but also destroys the self. This metaphor applies to both individuals and societies. Having witnessed the abuse of power in World War I, Tolkien weaves this reflection into the ring's design. It's a reminder, the greater the power, the heavier the responsibility. The Lonely Mountain, a symbol of loss and reclamation. The Lonely Mountain is the dwarves' ancestral home and the goal of their quest. It's more than a physical place, it's a symbol. It represents a lost home and the longing for belonging. Thorin's family was driven out by Smaug over a century ago. The mountain became a sacred place in their hearts. Thorin's obsession with reclaiming it borders on fanaticism. He's willing to wage war against elves and humans, a choice that leads to his tragic end. The mountain's symbolism ties deeply to Tolkien's own life. He lost many friends in World War I and saw war devastate homes. The story of the mountain reflects humanity's attachment to their roots and the price they might pay to reclaim them. Through the dwarves' fate, Tolkien warns us. Home matters, but if greed and hatred take over, it can lead to ruin. Smaug, the embodiment of greed. The dragon Smaug is one of the Hobbit's most unforgettable villains. He hoards a mountain of gold and jewels in the Lonely Mountain, yet never uses his wealth. Smaug is the embodiment of greed. He's not just possessive of treasure, he's paranoid about any potential threat. When Bilbo sneaks into his lair, Smaug can even smell him. This hypersensitivity reflects the paranoia of the greedy. Smaug's death carries symbolic weight too. He's killed by Bard, the archer of Lake Town, with a shot to a weak spot in his armor. That weak spot, discovered by Bilbo, symbolizes the vulnerability of greed. Through Smaug's story, Tolkien critiques the hoarding of wealth and the blind pursuit of power. He reminds us that true wealth lies not in gold but in friendship, courage, and inner peace. The Arkenstone, a symbol of peace and a source of conflict. The Arkenstone is the most precious gem in the Lonely Mountains hoard. It's not just a symbol of wealth but also of peace. Bilbo steals the Arkenstone, hoping to use it to broker peace between the dwarves, elves, and humans. This act reflects his kindness and desire for harmony. But Thorin's obsession with the Arkenstone only deepens the conflict. It ultimately sparks the Battle of the Five Armies. The Arkenstone's dual symbolism reveals how wealth holds different meanings for different people. To Bilbo, it's a tool for peace. To Thorin, it's a mark of glory. Through this symbol, Tolkien explores humanity's varied attitudes toward wealth, and how those attitudes shape relationships. The journey, a symbol of growth. Beyond physical objects, the journey itself is a powerful symbol in The Hobbit. From the Shire to the Lonely Mountain, Bilbo's journey isn't just a trip across Middle-earth, it's a transformation of the soul. Each new place brings new challenges and reveals new strengths in Bilbo. In the Misty Mountains, he learns to rely on his wits. In Mirkwood, he discovers his courage. At the Lonely Mountain, he understands the weight of responsibility. Every step of the journey shapes Bilbo and shapes how we understand growth. Through the symbol of the journey, Tolkien shows us that growth is a dynamic process. Only by moving forward can we truly find ourselves. Food and pipeweed, symbols of Hobbit culture. The Hobbit's love for food and pipeweed is Tolkien's ode to the simple life. At the start of his adventure, Bilbo's biggest worry isn't danger, it's missing his second breakfast. His fondness for pipeweed runs through the entire journey. Tolkien uses these details to craft a Hobbit culture that cherishes peace and life's pleasures. Food and pipeweed aren't just material comforts, they're symbols of the Hobbit spirit. They represent a harmony with nature. This stands in stark contrast to the dwarves' obsession with wealth. Through these symbols, Tolkien expresses his nostalgia for the pastoral life lost to industrialization. He also reminds us that happiness often lies in the simplest things. Themes: growth, friendship, and the cost of greed. Through Bilbo's adventure, The Hobbit explores several core themes. First, there's growth. Bilbo evolves from a timid hobbit into a brave and wise hero. His journey teaches us that real growth often happens outside our comfort zones. Only by facing challenges can we uncover our true potential. Next, there's friendship. Bilbo's bonds with the dwarves and Gandalf thread through the entire story. The dwarves initially look down on Bilbo, but as the journey unfolds, they come to accept him. Thorin's reconciliation with Bilbo on his deathbed is a powerful symbol of friendship overcoming misunderstanding. Through these relationships, Tolkien underscores the importance of unity and trust. Finally, there's the cost of greed. Whether it's Smaug's hoarding or Thorin's fixation on the Arkenstone, Tolkien warns us that greed can strip away reason and lead to destruction. Bilbo's choice offers a counterpoint. He rejects most of the treasure, opting for inner peace. This decision reflects Tolkien's admiration for a simple life. Chapter 5. The nuanced portrayal of relationships, the complexity of friendship and mentorship. The Hobbit doesn't just convey its themes through plot and symbols. It also deepens the story's emotional layers through the nuanced portrayal of relationships. Bilbo's connections with Gandalf and Thorin reveal the complexities of friendship and mentorship. Bilbo's relationship with Gandalf is a classic mentor-student dynamic. Gandalf isn't just Bilbo's guide, he's his emotional anchor. Early in the adventure, Bilbo relies heavily on Gandalf. Whenever danger strikes, he instinctively looks for Gandalf's presence. But Gandalf knows Bilbo needs to stand on his own. Before entering Mirkwood, he leaves the group, forcing Bilbo to face challenges alone. Gandalf's departure seems harsh, but it's an act of trust in Bilbo's potential. Through this relationship, Tolkien explores the balance between dependence and independence in growth. Gandalf's wisdom and humor also add a warm glow to the story. Bilbo's relationship with Thorin is far more complicated. Thorin initially doubts Bilbo, thinking the Hobbit will only hold them back. But as the journey progresses, Thorin begins to see Bilbo's worth. When Bilbo steals the Arkenstone at the Lonely Mountain, Thorin feels betrayed. Their relationship hits rock bottom. It's not until the Battle of the Five Armies that Thorin, on his deathbed, truly understands Bilbo's kindness. His obsession with wealth nearly destroys their friendship. But in the end, friendship prevails over misunderstanding. Through this relationship, Tolkien reveals the contradictions in human nature. He also highlights the power of forgiveness and understanding. These relationships don't just drive the plot forward. They let readers feel emotional resonance beyond the adventure. With his delicate touch, Tolkien captures the warmth of friendship and the pain of growth. This makes The Hobbit a work brimming with human brilliance. Chapter 6. Historical and Cultural Parallels, World War I Trauma and Middle-earth's Reflections. Though The Hobbit is a fantasy tale, its roots and cultural core are deeply tied to the real world. Tolkien's experiences in World War I profoundly shaped Middle-earth's themes and settings. The trauma of World War I as a metaphor. World War I was one of the deadliest conflicts in human history. Tolkien lived through the horrors of the Battle of the Somme. In a letter, he wrote, "I've seen too much death, too much loss." The brutality of the Battle of the Five Armies in The Hobbit, with its savage goblins and wargs, mirrors the violence of war. Bilbo's helplessness in the battle reflects the powerlessness of ordinary soldiers in war. More importantly, Tolkien uses Bilbo's return to explore the trauma of life after war. When Bilbo comes back to the Shire, the disconnect with his neighbors symbolizes the alienation soldiers felt after the war. Many of Tolkien's friends never returned from the battlefield. Through Bilbo's story, he expresses a longing for peace and home. Industrialization versus nature. Tolkien's critique of industrialization is a key cultural theme in The Hobbit. The Shire's pastoral beauty contrasts sharply with the Lonely Mountain's mining culture. The Shire is a world without machines. Hobbits farm by hand, savoring nature's gifts. The Lonely Mountain, on the other hand, is filled with dwarven forges and mines. It symbolizes the rise of industrialization. After World War I, Tolkien saw factories and railways encroach on England's countryside. He poured that sense of loss into the Shire's design. The Shire isn't just Bilbo's home, it's Tolkien's lament for a lost pastoral life. Through the contrast between the Shire and the Lonely Mountain, Tolkien reflects on the tension between nature and industrialization. He urges us to cherish nature and resist overdevelopment. Linguistics and cultural creation. Tolkien's background in linguistics infuses Middle-earth with unique cultural depth. He didn't just invent languages like Elvish and Dwarvish. He also crafted histories and traditions for each race. For example, dwarven culture centers on family and honor. Elves, meanwhile, revere nature and art. This cultural diversity makes Middle-earth feel alive. Tolkien's language creation also reflects his value for cultural heritage. During World War I, he saw industrialization erode traditional rural life. The Shire's pastoral charm is his tribute to that lost way of life. Through Middle-earth's cultural richness, Tolkien calls on us to preserve tradition and resist the tide of modernization. Racial dynamics and real-world parallels. Middle-earth's racial dynamics also mirror real-world ethnic conflicts. The tension between dwarves and elves runs through the entire story. Dwarves value wealth and family. Elves prize nature and art. Their values clash fundamentally. Thorin's hostility toward the elven king Thranduil stems from historical grudges. This animosity peaks just before the Battle of the Five Armies. Through these conflicts, Tolkien explores misunderstanding and reconciliation between cultures. Having seen the divisions caused by nationalism in World War I, he uses Middle-earth's racial dynamics to remind us of a vital truth. Only through understanding and cooperation can different groups coexist. The resonance of reality and fantasy. Though The Hobbit takes place in the fictional Middle-earth, its themes resonate deeply with the real world. Bilbo's journey of growth echoes the challenges we all face in life. Smaug and Thorin's greed critique the capitalist obsession with wealth. Tolkien wraps his reflections on humanity, war, and culture in a fantastical cloak. This resonance makes The Hobbit a timeless classic that transcends its era. Chapter 7, Conclusion: The Hobbit's Adventure and Life's Lessons. The Hobbit is an epic tale of adventure, growth, and humanity. It follows Bilbo Baggins' journey, guiding readers into a Middle-earth filled with wonder and danger. With his delicate prose and profound insight, Tolkien crafts a story that feels both fantastical and real. Through laughter and tears, we feel the power of courage, friendship, and self-discovery. Bilbo's adventure teaches us a vital lesson. True heroes aren't always born strong, they're the ordinary ones who dare to take that first step. No matter the struggles we face, if we confront them with courage, we'll find strength within. Tolkien also reminds us of what truly matters. Wealth and power may tempt us, but real happiness lies in a simple life and genuine connections. The Hobbit isn't just a fantasy novel, it's a mirror reflecting the human spirit. It inspires us to step out of our comfort zones and embrace the unknown. At the same time, it reminds us to cherish the friendships and inner peace we hold dear. So let's follow in Bilbo's footsteps. Let's embark on our own adventure. And let's uncover the hidden treasures that life has in store.